Hey everyone, welcome. Ever since I installed the T-Type transmission on that Specialized, I got questions from you folks in regards to compatibility. Compatibility with this, the good old Eagle 12-speed components. I have a few of these with me today, so why don't we try a few things and see what we find out. And my video is gonna have three parts. In the first part, I'm gonna look at cranksets and chainrings. Second, I'm gonna look at the new and old cassettes. And three, I'm gonna look at chains and see if I can find anything interesting. So the first thing we're gonna look at is the cranksets and the new T-Type chainrings. From the T-Type installation video, you guys probably know that I've been running this Garbaruk chainring on my bike since the beginning, and it worked very well. And that was with the 52mm chain line, not the 55mm chain line that the new cranksets introduce. Is this compatible with the old Eagle, the 55mm chain line? Yes, no problem. However, you might have to look at my video where I'm talking about the different dub bottom brackets that work with this. I'm gonna make sure I link it up in the corner. If you are looking at the T-Type chainrings, the shape of the new teeth are almost identical with the shape of the old X-Sync 2 of Eagle, but the teeth on the new chainring are a bit smaller, narrower. It means that these new T-Type transmission chainrings are perfectly compatible with your old Eagle chain. Everything is gonna work just fine. What if you have an older crankset using these X-Sync 2 chainrings? Well, as you can see it here, I can roll this brand new chainring on the flat top chain, and even though there is a little bit of drag, I mean, you can see it here, I can even lift up the chain with it. Once I flip over to the slightly worn oval from SRAM, this moves up and down the chain, no problem whatsoever. So cranksets, chainrings, and T-Type flat top chains. Are they compatible? In my opinion, they are. You can use them back and forth, old chainring with the flat top chain, new T-Type chainring with the old Eagle chain. I think they're just gonna work fine. And that brings me to the second test that I wanna do, one that was asked by a lot of you folks. Old Eagle cassette. Can I use this in that kind of setup? The new cassette sits further away from the hub by 2.5mm. Obviously, installing this cassette on a T-Type transmission setup, it's not gonna be a problem. But to do this cleanly, I'm gonna have to see if the Access app is gonna allow me to push that derailleur inwards enough to set it up for the old cassette. Unfortunately, even with the micro adjust set to 1, so the derailleur pushed inwards to the max, the derailleur doesn't start in the right position, and as a result, the shifting up and down the cassette, it's a complete mess. And that is the clean option. What's the not so clean option? Well, installing a spacer behind the SRAM cassette, pushing it further out. With this setup, I didn't even have to touch the micro adjust on the Access app, and the transmission shifted pretty well both up the cassette and down to the smallest cog. Obviously, we're not having the issue of aligning that starting point on the 10-tooth cog. Ooh. All right. Before we all do the happy dance here, I gotta warn you of a few things, because by putting that spacer on the XD driver, I think we ruined the system the way SRAM designed it. As you look here, you can see how we're only engaging half the threads of that XD driver because of the 2mm spacer. Second, do you see how the cassette actually touches the XD driver in two spots? One is at the bottom where it engages with the splines, but two, if you look inside, you're gonna see that Teflon bushing that grips the top of that XD driver So this becomes a unified, strong system with no wobble whatsoever on the cassette or no extra stress on the cassette at this end. And one last compromise, the new T-type cassettes, the 10 to 52, have the appropriate shift ramps that, together with what's called cassette mapping, which is firmware in the derailleur, delays that shifting, making sure that they get it right every time. All of a sudden, when you install the old cassette, that's all out of whack. Is that gonna matter in any way? I don't know, but I had to mention this to you folks. So, is this a good setup? As long as you're happy with all those compromises that I mentioned, I would give this a somewhat okay thumbs up. What do you guys think? Are you gonna try something like that? Are you willing to live with that kind of compromise? Let me know in the comments below. And for those of you wondering if you can use the new cassette with the old drivetrain, the answer is no. As soon as you tighten the axle, the cassette gets jammed into the derailleur hanger, even if it is a new DH type. And that brings us to the last point of the video. Chains. Should you use a flat top chain with the old Eagle cassette like many people like to do? Well, here's the two chains side by side. In my very non-scientific test, I don't see how the new chain sits any worse or any better on the cassette compared to the old Eagle. And that's even though, as you know from my video on the T-type chains, this new chain has slightly bigger rollers than the old Eagle chain. What about using the old Eagle chain on the new cassette? And here's another non-scientific test in which I apply tension on the chain and I try to move it relative to the cassette. I hope you can see it on the camera. There is a slight movement in there between the chain and the cassette teeth. My explanation is that because these teeth are designed with those bigger rollers in mind, when we put the old Eagle chain, it tends to rock back and forth a little bit. This can work, but you're definitely not getting proper engagement between the chain and the cassette teeth. The T-type chain sits 0.1 millimeter higher on the old Eagle cassette, and that doesn't seem to cause any trouble. However, I wouldn't recommend this configuration, so old Eagle chain with the new T-type cassette, based on my little testing that I've done here. What do you guys think? Do you have any experience running these combinations? Let me know in the comments. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. About 85% of you folks watching this video, you're not subscribers to my channel. Why not? You want more information like this? That's how you get it. So new and old Eagle and T-type transmission from SRAM. Do you guys use either one of these? Do you use any combination of old Eagle and new T-type components? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any other tests in mind. I might be able to do them over the winter. And until next time, I hope to see you folks on the trails. Yes, we do ride in winter as well. Cheers, guys. Cheers.